So advice that I would have is really expect right now a time to allow for adjustments for your students and for your whole family, because it is an adjustment for all of us.
So today on Someone You Should Meet, I'm joined by Andrea Sleet, who's a principal at Delmar Hills Academy. Andrea, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
No problem. How are you? How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's quite an adjustment working from home. My whole family is home. But I'm just happy to be here and supporting the teachers and the students and the families in any way that I can. But I'm doing really well.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
thank
great
you.
news. That's great to hear. So for us parents, this is really the first proper week of homeschooling for many of us. What advice can you give to parents who have been catapulted into homeschooling for the first time in lots of instances?
Sure. Well, one thing that I want to make sure that parents know is that homeschooling is very different from what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now with students is called remote learning. And the focus for remote learning is that it's not school as we typically think about it. It provides lessons that are designed by the classroom teacher. And what's really important is that our students are self-pacing. So that they have lots of flexibility, because right now with family schedules and circumstances during the school closure, we just want to make sure that families are self-pacing the students. So some students will work at different rates. Our teachers are providing lessons through a couple different platforms, one of them being Seesaw. So if your child is in kindergarten, first, second, or third grade, they're working through Seesaw. Our fourth and fifth grade teachers are using a platform called PowerSchool, and our sixth grade teachers are using Google Classroom. So it just really depends on your grade level. And then our STEAM Plus teachers are providing lessons as well in science, technology, art, music, and PE. And so the amount of time that our students spend on these lessons is really going to vary. So advice that I would have is really expect right now a time to allow for adjustments for your students and for your whole family, because it is an adjustment for all of us. And the routine, it may take a few days, but it may take a little bit longer for our children to adjust. Advice I would also give is for parents to just be really patient. Allow for the child to be the problem solver. Try not to solve the problems for them, whether it's an academic problem or a routine problem or a situation. Offer advice, support them, but ask them questions on how to help them solve those problems. Also being really excited, enthusiastic about what the students are learning and what they're interested in, and nurture any opportunity to build on their curiosity, what they want to learn on a certain topic, and then asking questions. Like, for example, what are your thoughts about this? Or tell me more. What makes you say that? That's interesting. Why do you think that? So I would also highly recommend creating a schedule or a routine, and involving your child in creating that will really be very, very beneficial for them to provide ownership and agency over their schedule and routine. And just
Okay, so can I just, sorry to interrupt, Andrea, can I just ask you about a routine? Because,
Sure.
I mean, is your advice that we mirror the exact school routine, or do we find a routine that kind of fits in with us and our children?
I think that finding a routine that works best for you and your family and your children is probably the best way to go. Just to let families know, typically in the morning before 10 o'clock, our students are focusing on reading and writing. Math usually takes place after recess, which would be between 10 o'clock and 11:45. And then in the afternoon is when they do more social studies and science after lunch. So a similar routine might be helpful. Again, it's just our children are going to work at all different paces. So it's just really going to depend. And again, involving them in that is important, that schedule.
Okay. What about if like your kid is struggling with something? And I know that when my daughter brings home sixth grade math, it is totally, over the top of my head. How do we go about supporting our children if we're kind of not understanding, the subject matter or how to go about solving the problem ourselves?
Great question. So our teachers are working from home as well. So they are available from 7:45 to 2:45. So you parents are welcome to reach out to their teachers via email, and teachers can call back, or they can be working through email as well, because they really want to support the students in any way to help them navigate through this new way of learning. If your child is older, if your child's in fourth, fifth, or sixth grade, I do recommend that the child reaches out to the teacher, because that's a really nice way for them to take ownership over their learning and ask questions. It's very reasonable that over these first couple of weeks, our students are going to need more guidance, and then you will start to see more independence with them over time. If a child is stuck on something, have them just really do their very best, and reminding them and reminding ourselves too that learning takes time. And it's okay if they don't master a task right away. They may need to leave it for a bit of time and take a break. They may need to come back to it the next day, and that's okay. And then just asking them questions, again, helping them be the problem solver and asking them, so what do you already know? What are the parts that are difficult? How can I help you? And then, of course, I'm always available as well. I'm always eager to help families. So families can reach out to me as well. The teachers,
Andrea,
yes.
yeah, that's great. Thank you. Andrea, as a mum myself, one of my concerns is that the girls may fall behind academically during this time. What would you say to someone like myself who is concerned that, I can't provide the level of teaching that you and your colleagues can, for example?
So I know that's probably really a big concern right now, but we really, our focus right now with the remote learning is we really just want to continue that learning. If our students if they're reading every day, if they're doing some writing, if they're focusing on mathematics, they will continue to learn and grow. And our teachers are there to be able to support if there are any concerns. So, as we get through this first week or couple of weeks of remote learning, our teachers will be reaching out more. We're looking at ways that we can support our students and our families even more so once we get through this first phase of the remote learning.
Okay. How do we go about recreating a school-like environment at home?
Mm-hmm. That is a great question. So when our students are learning, they learn in a variety of environments at school. Our school is very flexible. There's lots of comfy furnishings. So I would recommend, and again, involving your student, is design a couple of locations in your home that would create a learning environment for your child. So being creative with pillows and cushions and chairs and tables, and having a couple different spaces, again, involving the student, because that creates agency and ownership over that environment. And then they may have different purposes for those different learning spaces too. There might be a place where they want to write. There might be a place where they want to read. So that's kind of a fun way to create that learning environment, is let them create it with different furnishings.
Yeah, and so, but that's quite an alien concept to a lot of parents who, when we were at school, we had, a table and chairs and we had to sit down. But I know, having, been in my daughter's classrooms, that it is much more organic now. You can sit on a nice comfy beanbag if you want to. Exactly. So how much of this is about us, the parents, being flexible?
It's a really big part, because we really want to teach our students to be really flexible and really how to advocate for themselves if they need a break, or they want to come back to something the next day. And that's part of the remote learning, is that it needs to be self-paced and it needs to be flexible. Our teachers are approaching it a little bit different ways. You know, some teachers may post several things and the students pick. Teachers may be releasing assignments or learning opportunities throughout each day. So just as we move through this journey, just contacting teachers, and they be reaching out to you as well, just on how things are going and how we can make adjustments. And it may look different for every child, for sure.
I know my children, particularly my eldest, has been devastated about the school closing. She's been really upset. In fact, I've had to, get her to listen to calming apps at night, for example, to settle her down. How big of an emotional adjustment is this for the children?
So again, I think every child is different, and parents comforting their children, reassuring their children, knowing how much information they are, comfortable giving their children, I think is something really important to consider. I know that our teachers also are thinking about the children all the time and wanting to reach out as soon as we get those platforms, how we're going to be doing that, and just being able to reassure them. So again, I encourage the children to email their teachers, and our teachers will get back to them. There may be opportunities where they even call the students. So we're here as well to reassure them. And I think just letting the students know that our schools are closed because we were trying to mitigate the spread of the disease. So it was really precautionary to be able to do that, to continue to keep everybody safe. So I think just reminding the students of that, the children, is really important.
Okay. What about like learning guides? I know our school in particular is sending out remote learning, but for kids that may not be at the school that you teach at, are there any apps out there that are a good suggestion?
So there are a lot of different apps for children to use. In our district right now, as I shared, we are just focused on those platforms of Seesaw, PowerSchool, and Google Classroom. And our team also worked on a list of activities that can be facilitated at home. That came out that very first week of the school closure. And all of those activities will help keep our students' minds engaged. And they are recommended to do that. And they don't all require screen time. So, when we're doing the remote learning, they are on the screen quite a bit. As far as educational apps, if the students are not in the Del Mar Union School District, I encourage families to reach out to their teachers to kind of verify and find out some information about educational apps, which are the best ones. Right now for Del Mar, we just want to focus on our teachers creating lessons through those platforms. I highly recommend during this time too for families to be doing arts and crafts and listening to music and playing family games like Monopoly and Boggle and Yahtzee, and just having those family times. That special time for family is so important right now as well, and can be very reassuring for our children.
Yeah, how important is it to have a break from the academic studies and to go and get some physical exercise, go and take a walk, as you said, play board games? How important is the non-academic in addition to obviously your regular math and English?
It is so important. So, when we think about what school was like for you and I when we were younger, you were mentioning that earlier about a desk and so forth. Throughout the day, our children have lots of interaction with each other and with their teachers. So frequent interaction, frequent breaks, movement, not looking at the screen all day, doing those other activities is so crucial and so important. And if parents have the opportunity to check in with their child throughout the day about what they're learning about, that would be most ideal. But we know that parents are probably working from home as well. So even reflecting with them at the end of the day about their learning and talking about it at dinner or maybe while they're playing a game is so crucial and so important as well.
Andrea, obviously we're all hoping to get back to school as soon as possible, kids, parents, teachers, all of us. And who would you recommend that we listen to for information on, when potentially school may reopen and that type of thing?
Great question. So as we know, information is changing all of the time, day by day. Our leadership team in Del Mar, we are in close communication all the time. And as we get information, that information will be shared with our family. Whether that would come from Dr. McClurg, our superintendent, and Jenny Ha, our director of student services. So they are in such great communication, with everyone, and then getting that information out to families as soon as we know more.
Okay. I just wanted to touch upon students who may need extra support, who may have, a degree of learning difficulties. What is happening to them right now?
So they're being supported by their teachers as well. So again, reaching out to the teachers. Our teachers are collaborating with each other within our school, and they're collaborating with teachers within our district too. So lots of wonderful communications, and our educational specialists are supporting our classroom teachers, and so that's how we're supporting our students as well. And as I shared, we are continuing to reevaluate and look at remote learning in the weeks to come. And so there will be, we'll be continuing to build options for our teachers and our students to connect and find ways to support them. And so that information will be coming soon over the next few weeks.
Okay. Andrea, obviously this, particularly for us here in California, this came like a bolt out of the blue. The kids were at school on the Friday morning. By the Friday afternoon, school was shut down. I mean, just, how prepared, was the school to take on something of this magnitude at such short notice as well?
Well, as I shared with you, I mean, our district stays in very, very close communication, with the Board of Health, with the CDC, all of those important places and organizations that are providing information. And our district has done a fantastic job with keeping on top of all of that information and getting that to families as quickly as we are learning that information, for sure.
How are the
Communication
teachers doing?
is so important.
Okay, thank you. How are the teachers doing? How are your colleagues doing? And how are you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's, I think working on all of these things for our students and being in contact with parents and students and with the teachers, giving the teachers these opportunities to work on these learning platforms has created a level of normalcy for them. They are, they're working on balancing at home just like we are, where they're caring for their families and supporting our students with the continued learning. And we are just so proud and so appreciative of our teachers and the care that they are putting into, and the thought that they are putting into doing these learning platforms and creating the remote learning has been, I think, again, creating that level of normalcy for them. But they certainly miss the students and miss seeing each other as well. But they are doing well.
I was going to ask you, what do you miss most about not being in school?
The kids, for sure. Seeing the students, seeing their bright, smiley faces arriving to school every day. The teachers and I miss them so much. And I think just that human contact of all of us being together, those normal routines that we know are so precious for our children and for us as teachers and our families. And then, I think that's what we miss the most is seeing the children and the families, for sure.
Actually, you're a mom, and obviously you're now working from home. How old are your kids?
So they're all three home right now. My oldest is 22. And so he is working from home as well. My husband is working from home. And then I have a son that is a junior in college, and he's obviously home doing some online learning as well from his university. And then we have a sophomore in high school. And
So
so
how are you
he's
making all of that work? You've got everyone at home working. How is it? Be honest with me. How are you doing it?
I know. We all kind of have our designated spots. So when I was talking earlier about learning spaces for our students, the same thing is happening for adults. We all have our learning spaces and where we need to go if we need to, have a conference call or do some quiet emailing, those kinds of things. So setting up our learning spaces has been very important as well, and having a routine. So that's been very helpful.
That's the importance of a routine. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for your time today. I know how busy you all are, and I can just speak from myself. I'm just forever grateful for all the work that you and your colleagues are putting in right now. So thank you. I think we've all got a newfound respect for the teaching profession for sure.
Well, and I just want to say thank you so much to all of the parents and the families that are, helping to support our students during this time with taking this on in your homes as well, because continuing that learning is so important. It's vital for our students, keeping our minds active, and our students love learning. So we want to continue to foster that. And so thank you to all the families that are supporting as well.
Thank you, Andrea. It's been a pleasure. All the best, and hopefully we'll all be back in school soon.
Yes. Well,
thanks so much.
yes, thank you.